Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to welcome Brian, part of the executive team for Veritone. Brian, please. Sure.
I'm Ryan Steelberg. I'm CEO and co-founder of Veritone. Thank you for your time today. Veritone has been around for a little over a decade. We are a leading enterprise AI company focused predominantly on large-scale audio and video-based problems. This is management teams. Many of us have worked together for 6 companies now. I have a rich background in ad tech technologies. Most recently headed up all of Google's offline ad efforts for several years. And really, Veritone is kind of the culmination, which means a little play on the words, truth in the signal, of our vision is bringing a level of precision and understanding to the tremendous amounts of unstructured data out there. What you're going to hear from me today is that we are probably one of the most exciting, largest AI companies out there in terms of customers. We have thousands of customers that use our software every single day. Most of our customers are the largest enterprises in their respective fields, and really 2 main categories, commercial enterprise and the public sector, which I'll go into more detail. And what we're really going after is, and we really saw this problem from an advertising technology problem years ago, is we have a huge data problem. You've heard this countless times throughout the day. Any company that's talking about AI, data is both the opportunity and data is also the problem in the AI ecosystem, right? At least from our perspective on the software side. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the amount of data that's being produced, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, the largest segment of data being produced is unstructured data. Audio and video is unstructured. It's messy, which means historically machines prior to AI can't really understand it, right? Our background, why was this so important, is because as consumers were adopting more and more audio and video, we, being the Google and ad tech guys, we wanted to be able to serve and basically monetize that. You can't monetize it if you don't understand it with its structure. You may know it. We're here in New York City. Tonight, the Knicks are playing, right, in the Eastern Conference Finals. Congratulations. I'm from the West Coast, so we've been there a few more times than you guys have recently. But if you watch a game, you listen to the referees call a game. You're watching the host call the game. In the telecast, you're seeing logos in the background. You're hearing the announcer talk about Geico, right? Very incredibly rich advertising areas. So when I was at Google, I was tasked to say, we need to understand, right, if this is the fastest growing segment and consumers are doing nothing, frankly, but online of consuming audio video, we better understand what's happening. AI didn't start then, right? We started really leveraging, I'll say, rudimentary neural networks going back almost 20 years now, trying to target ads more efficiently, right? So the concept of using machine learning, right, and the ability to improve targeting has been a concept, and the thought process is neural networks, CNNs, RNNs, and eventually I'll say the much more advanced AI models today, was always a thought process we were thinking about. Today, in my position, in my mind, there's really have been 2 dominant paths that are the companies and individuals who are leading the AI conversation today. The ad tech guys, Google's, and the commerce guys, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and those groups. 2 completely different veins, right, and trains of thoughts and how they accomplished it. But the one thing they had in common was they both had an astronomically large data problem, right, that they were trying to solve. So this is what we're going after, right? Veritone in the category of unstructured data, which is the largest, by far the largest category, is audio and video. So get just perspective of how big is Veritone today in terms of how much data are we processing today for our customers. It's a huge amount of data, right? Almost, if you put it in the context in terms of hours, right, for traditional media, almost 60 million hours a year. Last year alone, we ingested, indexed, and organized and turned into value for our customers, right? It's a huge amount, petabytes of data, right? And not just one AI model, hundreds of AI models, right? And when you're like, well, I don't understand, what do you mean hundreds of AI models? If you give me a tonnage of audio and video, there's not a one-trick pony, right? OpenAI doesn't work just throwing it against a large audio and video corpus, right? We need to get precision. I need to know down to a frame, is Michael Jordan's face on screen? Are they talking about Nike, right? And in an aperture of 10 minutes, do they talk about gambling problem, for example, right? Think of it as forensics indexing the level of a search index, but not for the open web and text, but for audio and video, right? So we are very, very good at this. We've been doing it for over 10 years. What powers this whole platform is our proprietary stack called aiWARE. aiWARE is a complete end-to-end solution that, by the way, is completely platform agnostic. This solution today is deployed on AWS Commercial and GovCloud. It's deployed on Azure Commercial and GovCloud. We're in FedRAMP, the government's secure Fed environment, and it also can be deployed on-prem, okay? So it's full production, tried and true, platform agnostic, right? And you're gonna understand why that's so critical. But again, the whole ecosystem I'll kind of adapt is first you gotta get data into the system, right? So you have the concept of adapters, ingestion engines that get the data in. I don't care if it's off of a drone camera or the master's camera, somehow, cost-effectively, we gotta get data into the platform. For about a half of our customers, we're the primary tenant, meaning we're taking their data and it's sitting in our AWS account. It's sitting in our Azure account, okay? So aiWARE has been, so we are the primary account holder as their primary cloud solution. For about half of our other customers, we deploy this full stack in their own tenant. So if they have a huge commitment to AWS, or for our government contracts, the Air Force and the Defense Logistic Agency, I can deploy this entire stack on bare metal on Oracle or in their private cloud, okay? Now, again, there's different reasons why people would want to deploy it, but moving data is expensive, right? If you're CBS News, one of our big clients, trying to move petabytes of data is very expensive. And mind you, if you're gonna move it, how are you gonna monetize it, right? If you're gonna move all this stuff off of legacy storage into the cloud to make it readily available, you better have some use cases and revenue-generating solutions ready to go. But the key here is everything we do, whether it's in the commercial, whether it's in the public sector, which again, I'm gonna go into detail, everything we do runs through aiWARE. Very extensible, very scalable, and tried and true. Huge scale. Our customers, hands down, are the best in the business. They're the leaders in their respective fields. We're not a SMB company, we're a large enterprise customer. In media and entertainment, it's the biggest shops. It's the Disneys. It's the Sony Pictures. For contemporary, it's the Masters Golf Tournament, right? Veritone is actually the company on site at the Masters ingesting every single data feed, not just what you see over the air, but every camera 24/7 comes into it, including their audio. We're the AI company indexing it and redistributing it out to the universe, okay? But if you look at these names, right? It's the biggest, in the audio space, all of Odyssey, all of iHeartMedia, 24/7, every single thing that iHeart produces comes into Veritone and aiWARE for indexing. So I'm gonna go into a couple use cases, specifically end-to-end on these things. Data. It's a big problem, but again, it's not just the data, it's how we're gonna generate value out of it, right? Our time to prove ROI has to be months, not quarters or years, right? And again, we've been doing this for now over a decade. There is a lot of, everybody's now changing their names. Data has now become AI. Everybody's just adding AI to their company name, right? We've been doing it fundamentally at scale for many, many years. And many of our customers, like the ESPNs of the world, like the NCAA, they're now going on 7 years of repeat business with us. So we have two main areas of focus. Commercial, which is dominated by media and entertainment. And again, this starts from data ingestion. The number of use cases are tremendous. But just think of this fundamentally as ingest their data, create a data lake, use AI to prepare it and index it, and then have a very efficient workflow or application layer that turns it into value. So I'm gonna walk you through specifically one example of ESPN, of how we work with them, okay? Customer's been our customer now for 7 years, as is other areas of Disney. We, on their behalf, ingest every piece of content they produce, both their historical archive and their newly created content. That includes their linear digital video, SportsCenter, all their podcasts, AM and FM and linear, literally off the head-ends and the studio automation systems. We're ingesting all of that data. As it gets ingested into aiWARE, we then orchestrate 1 to n number of AI models to turn it into add structured metadata to the video files. So for example, if it's pure audio, I don't need object detection, okay? But if it's video, I want everything. Imagine depth, every frame or minute. How deep can I go and comprehensive can that data set be, right? Every face on screen, every logo, what they're talking about, the sentiment, everything you can imagine. When that gets produced, I'll say result one is an intelligent data lake, not just a raw data lake, but it's the media files now time correlated with structured sidecar data files that has all of that output of that AI. And then you're saying, great, now I have the index. Now how do I turn it into value? How people consume our output of our cognition is either APIs, Automate Studio, which is just I'll call low code, right? Low code workflow, but applications as well. So some of our customers, we are just a bit blower. We ingest tons of data, we clean it up, we create the metadata, and then they access that data through our APIs. A lot of our customers, like ESPN, they actually license applications that we built. Think of it as like Microsoft Office. A lot of companies are not ready. They want Windows. They have Windows running. They're not ready to build their own applications, right? They're not ready to build their own applications using like a Windows SDK, but they're obviously ready. They want to consume Excel. They want to start using PowerPoint. Many of our customers, they don't have to worry about any of this. Most of our customers never ask us, what AI models are you using? iHeartMedia, for example, over 9 years now as a customer, we've probably changed their transcription ASR model 100 times. They don't even know about it, right? So think about it. That's a means to an end. How is the AI creating a better, more cost-effective, higher generating outcome? Okay? So again, how we make money is we either charge by volume of data ingested and indexed using AI in combination with, are they also licensing our applications? So think of it as right? We try to get to a common package so they understand it. ESPN, let's just say hypothetically, spends about $40,000 a month. That includes a calculation of how big is that corpus of data ingested, what AI are applying to it, and what end applications are they licensed to us. So we come up with a bundle package, right, which they pay us ratably over the month. As I talked about here, right? Step one, ingest. Step two, AI processing, right? We are the orchestrator. Of those 862 models, maybe a third are ours. Veritone trained and created the models ourselves. But if there's a better model out there that's cost effective, we could care less. The AI model arms race has been our core thesis since we started this business, incorporated in 2014. We believe models are going to go to N, right? We all know that there's going to be a few huge shared models, like OpenAI 4.0, right? But there's going to be millions and millions of micro-trained models, right? Now, you guys probably heard AI is training other AI models, right? The reason is every job is unique. The key is, can you orchestrate them cost effectively to achieve a desired outcome? Accuracy is not always the goal. To be very clear, when you're talking about the tonnage and scale of audio video that we're processing, sometimes one below, I'll call it it's not the Mercedes, it's the Lexus. That's the better one, because if your scale is so big, you can't afford to index everything. So part of our job is CBS News is a customer as well. They have a 54 petabyte archive. We've only worked with them to digitize, I think, about 7 petabytes of it. Think about that, right? They have to justify to move all that stuff. Trust me, AWS is there every day. Azure is there every day. Let's go, let's move all this stuff to the cloud. But why? How quickly can they monetize it? We are one of the reasons why they're going to start moving this stuff faster, because we're so efficient indexing and our applications prove efficacy and ROI. Access, let me finish on here for a sec. So ESPN, how do you use the final output? 3 main groups. They use one of 3 main things from us: discovery, which is an application; digital media hub, which is an application; and licensing, which is a service offering of ours. Discovery, think of it as Google search on steroids, but for audio and video, right? It's what their programmers use. Their speed by which ESPN can create SportsCenter, the speed of which they can sift through when they're trying to create. The world has got so much content. ESPN has to figure out, what are we going to show Mike Zemetra here, right, on a personal basis? The speed of what we can ingest, index, and organize, and push out as fast as we can to social media outlets, personalization. That's what we empower. We actually, and I'll say not a downside, but an efficiency side, is they used to have hundreds of interns, hundreds, that literally would label content, right? Completely automated now, right? Completely automated. We've done all that organization and that indexing that content, right, on a pure AI-based automated basis. Digital Media Hub is kind of the huge, it's the application layer that allows you to access this intelligent data lake. This is where hundreds of third-party companies come in to access ESPN content. It's where hundreds of companies come in to push content into ESPN for potential pickup in their shows and distributions. It's also where licensing parties, right, will come in and access content. We are almost 360, right? Not just a tonnage of AI ingest and running AI, but we're also, right, the application layer that turns that into value, right? Their advertising and sponsorship teams use our software to prove and build out efficacy models for their sponsors, right? So if you see a large integrated sponsorship of Geico, where it's somebody talking about in a game, there's a commercial break that has Geico, how do you bring that all together? How do you prove the value of that 360 campaign? Can't do it unless you understand what's inside the audio video. So one of many use cases that we service. Each one of these media entertainment customers all has a slightly different ultimate end use case. Some we know, many. Others, it's now becoming a proprietary tradecraft, right? CNBC is a customer of ours. Outside of us producing their corpus of index content, I really don't know day in and day out what they use. The point is, they've re-signed with us year after year after year. They're actually putting more and more content into it, and it's a mission critical part of their ecosystem. Let me say that again. For media and entertainment customers, we are a mission critical part of their workflow. It's why our retention rate on these customers is the highest 90th percentile. We do not lose large customers. We've had them for years. So this is how we started the business. We've been running now for several years. It's exciting, it's growing. Well, there's a whole new phenomenon I'm going to get to towards the end of this presentation called VDR. But about 5 years ago, we were approached by DARPA, who reached out to us and said, hey, what you guys are doing at such a huge scale in production for audio and video, we, the government, have a problem, right? Not just local government, state and local law enforcement, but the DOD, the DOJ. They also now are having to deal with, ingest, and understand tremendous amounts of audio and video. Drones, satellite, body cameras, dash cams. They call it the Biden law, right? the Biden body camera law. Every sworn officer in a federal basis, right, in law enforcement has to be, at a period in time, has to have a body camera and dash cam. That's like saying, we're giving you a charge that you have to produce all this audio and video, but you have no idea to sift through it. Remember, the quotient of understanding, if you're a media and entertainment customer, your core product and asset is your audio and video. You've been having to deal with that data set forever. You went from like tape and film backup, right, to cold storage, to cloud storage, et cetera. Imagine now your Beverly Hills Police Department, one of our 500 state and local law enforcement sheriff department customers. They're a data company now. When they're fighting crime, they have to sift through and collect evidence off the phone, social media, pictures, videos, surveillance cameras throughout the city, body cameras, dash cams. It's a bigger problem, it's a messier problem, and their level of expertise is way lower than a lot of the media entertainment customers with that type of data set. So Veritone went into this space, initially focused on state and local law enforcement, and now we're a definitive player both in state and local law enforcement, but also now in the DOD and the DOJ. Okay? Our customers include, again, hundreds of local law enforcement agencies that are sheriff departments and police departments. And again, as I just stated, we don't really care what the data is. We don't care if it's coming off of a linear broadcast like the Masters, or in the context of a sheriff department, they're collecting footage from surveillance cameras or Ring cameras or citizen upload. People are walking around filming. It's evidence. Everything's evidence. But now we've created a system, a set of applications, a framework that's cost effective, that makes that data viable. It took years before people would even think about the efficacy of using DNA in the context of a case. Right? Think about that. If it was so hard and inaccurate, right? Most people said, we know it's there, but we're going to exclude it until it got to a level of competency and efficiency, right, and speed. That now, can we imagine prosecuting a case that's a murder trial without a form of DNA analysis? Think of that for these other types of evidential material. In the Fed space, let me go here real quick. Our customers today range from really exciting larger agencies more recently in the Department of Defense, the Air Force, the Defense Logistics. 2 minutes? Okay, here we go. But it's a lot of the same underpinnings. It uses aiWARE, right? And it's not all just for helping maybe find the bad guy, but sometimes it's absolutely opposite. Freedom of information requests, meaning we have laws in our country that people can request digital information. Like if you're capturing body cameras, you have 3 days in certain jurisdictions to get that out. You can't have humans sitting behind a desk going through frame by frame, blurring people's faces. The point is, once you have access to these data sets and you build that framework around it, the number of use cases is amazing. But between what we're doing for the DoD, the DOJ, and commercial, I would say the most ubiquitous is efficiency and ROI gain, right? They're saving money. They can process more, they can do more, right, for a fraction of the cost. And people say, who do you compete most with? Humans still. We still compete mostly with humans, right, as an input function. But again, you can kind of see it's different. Instead of obviously, these are different applications that they use. These are the countless number of arrays that come in. And I think for investors, we've been around for a while. We're a $100 million run rate business. I think what we are presenting and get people re-excited about our company are really twofold. One is you're going to be seeing over the next several weeks some much larger contracts in the DoD, Department of Justice space. Okay, takes a long time. We've laid the groundwork. We've actually deployed the software in some of these areas, and now it's about scaling, right? Almost the same use cases, what we're doing in state and local law enforcement, but doing it at the Fed level at a much bigger scale. Number two is a byproduct, and I got to go over this real quick, a byproduct of our media entertainment business. Training AI models is a big business, okay? 17 billion, they're expecting 17 billion alone is going to be spent by really 50 or less companies on buying and preparing training data to train their models. Think of OpenAI, think of Gemini, think of Llama, right? They are spending money to now buy data sets to train their models. We've converted our huge corpuses of customers' data now, because it's already been clean and indexed, into training data. We are working and selling to those same giants today and giving them not a couple hundred hours, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours of pristine, organized audio and video data that are training the next generation of AI models for the companies. We just launched this in Q4. We're booking revenue right now, and we already represented that we expect this to be a material revenue driver for us this year. This was the progression. The early models were trained on text. Then they went to imagery. Veritone is sitting here. We are by far in the most strategic position to dominate the video and audio space for training models. And by the way, we're already doing it. We're already booking revenue. As we stated earlier, right out of the gates, we already have at least 10 million in short-term realized pipeline. This is going to be a very material business, and this is conservative, right, over the next few years of how just the VDR business alone, Veritone Data Refinery alone, as part of our commercial business. So again, we've been doing this a long time, for almost too long in the public markets, right? But it's kind of what you're going to be reading over is stay tuned. We're going to be coming out with some amazing things, and we are subject matter experts. What we do, we've been doing this tried and true, and what you'll see is we do have probably the best roster of customers out there that are repeat customers for many years. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.